Yep, you got it.
All right.
We all ready? Yeah. When you think about school, do you think about sitting in a room with 25 other kids, learning the same thing in the same way? Most of us have spent 7 to 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 12 years, was sitting in those uncomfortable chairs, listening to many teacherless lectures, drone on and on. I homeschooled my child and was successful in giving him a quality education with less than 15 hours of schoolwork a week. Those who choose to homeschool tend to produce more successful, well-educated adults. Let's take a few moments and discuss what homeschooling is and what it isn't. Homeschooling was the way of life for many years until towns were able to create public schools. Many of the people that we've heard of homeschooled are Einstein, Abraham Lincoln, and even Agatha Christie. While homeschooling is legal in all 50 states, some states make it very difficult to homeschool your children, requiring that status reports be sent, quarterly reports, and annual assessments of your child's progress. In Illinois, it's a little bit easier to homeschool, where we just have to send a notice to your child's school district with the intent to letting them know that you intend to homeschool. The bad part about that is that homeschooling is all on you. My experience is that I have a neurodivergent autistic ADHD child, and he was in 4th grade and he was failing, and they pushed him on to 5th grade. And at that point I knew that he wasn't getting the quality education that he deserved. So I took him out of school and I brought him home. And it allowed him to concentrate on areas of his deficit in learning and structure his learning in a way that wasn't cookie cutter, in a way that the public school never could. It was more tailored around his community projects, more personal instruction, and less academic pressure. Now that I've covered some basics of homeschooling, let's cover some misconceptions that I've encountered during my time as homeschooling mom. Homeschool kids are social outcasts. This is one of the biggest misconceptions of homeschooling. And homeschooling children are not less socialized than their peers. They do stand in line, they do socialize. Homeschooling often involves getting out of the designated learning space, and a typical day can include interactions with family members, neighbors, friends, and community members, almost on like daily field trips. There are many times when we've gotten out of the house and visited 4 or 5 places in a day. These outings and daily interactions help to form relationships and good community habits, much better than the public schools, where they spend the same day with the same people in the same environment. In the year 2000, the Discovery Institute conducted a study in which trained counselors found homeschooled children to not only be well-adjusted, but to also exhibit fewer behavioral problems than their traditionally schooled peers. Homeschoolers play all day. Yes, it does allow for more free time, but don't assume that homeschooled children simply spend all day, every day playing. Playing is a way of learning, by the way. Many homeschooling children do their schoolwork on a strict schedule, with breaks to do necessary household chores or group classes. It's also important to remember that homeschooling enables a child to work at his or her own pace. If a child is focused long enough to complete his or her work, they might have extra time available to go and play. Whereas a child who needs a little more extra time has the liberty to take it and can be more one-on-one with the parent. Marnie, only a religious people homeschool. Every year, the every 4 years, the U.S. Department of Education National Center for Educational Statistics conducts a national household education survey. Whenever it is released, the survey breaks the myth that the only people who only religious people homeschool their children. Some of the reasons, the top 5 reasons that they gave in order to homeschool their children, were to make a change from a negative school environment that involved things such as violence or bullying. They wanted to improve their child's social interactions. They wanted to support a child who has learning disabilities or is neurodivergent, or to in religious reasons didn't even make the top 5. In an interview with Heather Cooper, a local homeschooling mom, she states that she wanted to be able to give her child, wanted to be able to craft an environment where education was more than just rote memorization, but a way to immerse her children more in subjects that were learning and that they were learning and passionate about. She wanted to create a love of learning and foster it in each individual child. Parents aren't qualified to be teachers. In recent years, it seems that there has been a move away from parents being your child's most important teacher. Parents are, in fact, the ones who teach children how to walk, talk, eat, breathe, eat, and even use the bathroom. You get the idea. Much of the argument revolves around teaching specific subjects. Yet, homeschooling parents have so many resources at their disposal, such as internet or other parents. For example, a parent uncomfortable with teaching algebra can find tons of YouTube tutorials online. Many homeschooling parents join a co-op or a cottage school to take advantage of other homeschooling parents' expertise. These are groups of homeschooling families who meet up to learn together, and they also create a small social group as well. There's even online schools in which students can take one or even all of their classes. But Marnie, it'll be harder for them to get into college. This is actually farther from the truth. Schools like Yale and Dartmouth actually accept homeschooling students in high numbers and even seek them out. High school or homeschooled students often come to college more prepared, more independent, and possessing invaluable skills such as self-motivation. Even ICC has offered open invitation meetings to all homeschooling families to assist them in supplementing and prolonging their homeschool curricula, as well as planning the transition from homeschooling to college. Marnie, only crunchy people homeschool? Crunchy people, we run into a few. They can be described as people who are vegetarians, vegans, all organic, gluten-free, no artificial ingredients, brings a carrot to a birthday party, mom or dad. While I've run into my fair share of crunchy moms, many of the moms and dads that I have met homeschooling still feed their children mac and cheese, Doritos, Oreos, McDonald's, and all of the other normal kid foods. But Marnie, homeschoolers are weird. Yep, I am. I fully admit it. I am weird just like everybody else, in their own special way. No different than those who are in public school. Now that we've discussed what homeschooling isn't, let's discuss what it is. There are hundreds of different curricula out there in which to complete online there are hundreds of different curricula out there, from completely online programs to track your child's time studying and the skills that they've mastered, to individual interests that you can use to help to educate your child. Some of the programs are um, ABC Mouse, Life of Fred, or even Build Your Library. Most homeschooling families use a mixture of both school bookwork as well as practical life applications and or internet courses. As we talked before, homeschool doesn't always mean home. The average homeschooler is involved in 5 extracurricular activities: archery, 4-H, dance, Boy Scouts, local swim teams, etc. Homeschooling groups and co-ops, and all of these utilize multiple influences: city governments, libraries, and specific groups of the child's interest, giving access to local experts in various subjects. Homeschooling may and also homeschooling may not be done at home for the full 12 years. Many parents send their children to public school and homeschool maybe 2 or 3 of the years. In conclusion, we've discussed what homeschooling is and what it isn't, and how I've used it to benefit my child's education. Think about your own education. Would you have benefited from a cookie cutter education? Or would you have been better off with being homeschooled in a more individualized sense? I chose to homeschool my child, and it created a stronger relationship between us, considering not every child is meant to sit in a classroom for 7 to 8 hours. Homeschooling was the right way for us.